Hi, this is Bill Hitchcock, and it is Friday, March 20th, 2020 when I'm recording this particular video. What we're going to be working on today is some database functions. So I've got my database sheet put in here. To work with my database functions, what I want to do is first just run through a few summary stats for computing out the totals, the average, the min, the max, and the count for a list of records. So for my total, it's just equal to sum, and I'm going to sum up, in this case, all my salaries. So I'm going to include the field name. It won't hurt that because it's just 0. I'm going to include the blank row at the very end, or the blank cell at the very end. So I've got F3 to F17, hit enter, and there I've got my grand total for all the salaries. Next, we'll do the average function. Again, same thing, the same range. I'm just using the pointing method to enter in that. Type in equal max, parenthesis, taking my arrow keys, pointing over to salary, hold my shift key, and cursor down with my arrow key to the bottom. Oops, that was max, and I've got that for min, so let me just switch the function name. I'll delete that out, type in min to get that. Now I want the maximum function. Use my left arrow key, come over here, come up with the up arrow key, hold the shift all the way down, and then finally I want to count up how many of those have numeric values in it. So we'll use the count function just to find out how many records we've got that have salaries entered in, and that matches 13, which matches our record number over here, so that all looks good. So I'm going to take those cells, format all these dollar figures, the salary figures, with a dollar sign. Let's get rid of the decimal points, we don't really need them there, and we've got a total payroll of $673,345. Average salary a little over, or I guess a little under $52,000. Our lowest one was the $43,750, and finally the highest one was the $75,800. Count, we can format that with a comma format, get rid of the decimal places, and we're all set. Now I'm going to take those formulas and just type them down here for the select records. And the reason why I'm doing that is that way I've just got all the formatting. But the formulas themselves, I'm not going to use those formulas, so I'm going to hit my delete key, delete them out. I'll have the formatting, we'll be set with that. All right, let's save our work and set up some database formulas. So the first thing you do is copy, actually I'm going to copy all of this here, the word database and my field names. I want to put that down at the bottom. I'll skip an extra row there just to give me a little bit of extra space. And down here, this is going to be my criteria. In other words, where I type in some information about the records that I want to retrieve. For example, I might want to take Chicago and put that in for the location, and then it kind of pull out all those records. So you could do a couple of things. One is what always helps to understand your data and be able to analyze this is first, let's sort it. So either on the Home tab, and way over to the right is Sort and Filter, or on the Data tab, it gives you the same thing here in the middle. We can sort this in ascending order, I can do a custom sort, etc. So I'm just going to sort this by location. So I've got all my Atlanta people together, I've got all the Boston ones together, and then I've got all the Chicago ones. So it looks like we've got 4 records for Chicago. That's what we should end up here for the count. So we'll start with that function first. And we're going to do equals DCOUNT. So up above we had the count function, but down here we want to use equals DCOUNT in a parenthesis. There's 3 parameters, 3 arguments for this function: the database, the field, and the criteria. So my database is all of this information, this field name, and I'm just holding my shift key, cursor over to the right. I can hit my end key once and down arrow, and I said I want to include 1 blank row at the bottom in case I insert additional rows. So I've got that. Type in a comma. The field is whatever field it is that you want to count up. So usually what I'll do is I'll count up a numeric field. So I'm going to click on the record number because I've got a unique value in each one of those records. Type in another comma. And then finally down here is the criteria. That's the field names that I copied, and cursor at least 1 cell down to include my criteria, in this case Chicago. Type in a right parenthesis, hit enter, and there I've got 4 records. Now if I come down to the criteria and delete out Chicago, I get 13 because I don't have any criteria at all, which means select give me all the records. So that's a good way to kind of check to make sure that your database formulas are working correctly, is it should match up your summaries with all records. So let's try doing this for some of the other functions. We can do total is a DSUM rather than a sum. So it's equals DSUM, parenthesis. Database is the record number. Hold my shift key, click down here at the bottom. Or again, if you've got hundreds of records, use the end and down, and that's a better way to select it. The field in this case, I want to sum up the salaries. And for my criteria, it's down at the bottom, right, cursor down a cell, hit enter. I've got the same number as the total up here. Average, there's a DAVERAGE function. Database is, click on the first field, shift and down, go down 1 more, I'm still holding shift, cursoring to the right, type in a comma, I want the salary, comma, criteria, shift and right, cursor down 1, enter, and we're all set. Equals DMIN for database min. My database, click, shift and down, right, comma, field again is going to be salary, comma, criteria, shift and right, down 1, we've got that, and finally equals DMAX, parenthesis, my database, shift and down, shift and right, comma, choose salary, comma, choose my criteria, shift and right, down 1 cell. And all of those numbers look like they're matching, so that's good. So now again, we want to test this out. Let's try Atlanta this time. So I'll copy the word Atlanta, paste it down here in the location, hit enter, and I've got my 5 records for Atlanta. And if I highlight those 5 Atlanta ones, down here on my status bar, I've got the average 50,565. That matches here. I've got the count, I've got the min, I've got the max, I've got the sum, so I can check that. If for some reason your screen doesn't have that, right click on this status bar, and then you can check and add in some of those functions if you need to get it. So I've got selected the average, the count, the min, the max, and the sum, and that's all on my status bar. So one last bit of criteria that we can do, I'm going to delete that one out. If I want to find certain salaries that are above or below a number, say I want to find out all the salaries that are less than $50,000, I can choose that, and let's sort this just to double check and make sure we've got these numbers. So here's all the ones that are less than 50,000. Looks like I've got 10 records that are selected, and I've got my average of $46,330, so that looks correct. Let's try, I'm not sure about greater than or equal to. We'll try greater than or equal to 46,000. And we've got 9 records there, so let's see, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 records. So it looks like you can do greater than equal to, less than equal to, and try some different things that way. You could do the same thing for dates, for example, if you wanted something that was, find out, you know, who some of our employees were. So let's sort by date. And let's try something that's less than 1/1/2010. And there's 3 records. There they are. 1, 2, and 3. We've got those items there. So a lot that we can put in with our criteria and do some work with that. Finally, the last thing that I want to do is I want to be able to extract these records and kind of highlight them. So again, what I'll do is I'll highlight the database and the field names, put that down here at the bottom, paste it in here, and this is going to be my extract area, or the extract area. So I'll hit Control Home. Before I do any extracting, I want to save this work. Then I'm going to go to the Data tab, choose the Advanced Filter, and it says, do you want to filter in the place or do you want to copy to another location? I want to copy this to another location. My list range is all my data, and as I said before, I usually like to include 1 extra blank row beneath that. So I'll include that. The criteria range, that's these field names and my criteria. And finally, where it says copy to, there I need to scroll down a little bit. Let's see if we can get down here. Alright, we'll try it this way. Let's click in the copy to area. I'll just click on a cell and start cursoring down to it. Using my arrow keys, I want to choose my extract area, and that's all you need to do is just select the field names for that. Hit OK. And now if we look, let's come over here once, sorry. Down to the extract area. There's my 3 records that were all had a higher date less than January 1st, 2010, and it extracted those records. Alright, if we change this and make it less than 2007, I just have the 1 record. I'm going to come down here near the extract area, run my advanced filter again. I want to copy to another location. It looks like I've got all that set up from before, so I'll hit OK. And there it goes. It extracts just that 1 record. And notice that it gets rid of anything else that I had in here, which is kind of good and bad. If you have some other data that's underneath here, and if we run this extraction again, let's see what happens. I'm going to copy this to another location, and I'll hit OK. notice that it just erased anything that I had underneath it. So it kind of clears everything else all the way down to the bottom of the sheet. So that's why be careful when you have this extract area. You want to put that in an area where you're not going to accidentally delete something out that you count on, just kind of as a warning. So that's this particular spreadsheet. Hope that helps out, and we'll work on some financial functions this next time.